didn't want to leave you guys.
Have you turned the steam room on, or?
No, I think I'm just gonna have to be cold for a little bit. It'll be fine.
No.
We'll fly through this relatively quickly.
Well, maybe I will turn it on. Maybe I will turn it on. Let's see.
Oh god, we're gonna watch him die on front of us.
Starts
gets pinker and pinker.
It starts stripping down the way through.
Just starts playing the stripper.
All right. Welcome everyone to Star Trek Trek. This is our review of Past Prologue, the second episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We're now fully into the Bajoran arc, the Cardassian arc, as we explore what I think is a very good Major Kira episode, and a good one for defining a little bit of Bajoran culture, a little bit of how they were post wasn't. Do you know what? In my head, I nearly said post
occupation,
not occupation. that's where my head's at with all this now. Jesus Christ, the Cardassians are left and left of scraps. That's what it's like. Okay, this one was directed by Winrich Kolbe, who
I could tell there was some directorial flair.
Absolutely, it was very well directed. Like we spoke about him before on Caretaker, and obviously he directed Darmok, All Good Things, Blood Glow, very and Siege of AR 558. Very good stock with this one as well. Funnily enough, I found out today as well that he also directed some episodes of Spencer, A Man for Hire, and A Man Called Hawk, which both feature Avery Brooks. So it's like, yes, he probably just went, I know.
Old friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you like some bad news about this episode, though? This was written by none other.
Oh, I noticed this.
Catherine Powers, who, if you weren't aware from our Code of Honor review, also wrote that episode. However, she only wrote the story. The actual teleplay to put it onto TV screens was done by a guy called.
If you told me that she wrote the story and all of Tana Los's dialogue, I would believe you.
But I think the actual work was done by Peter Allen Fields, who was responsible for Half a Life, or The Inner Light, Blood Oath, and In the Pale Moonlight. So I think, and Michael Piller.
I was going to say, I recognise that name, yeah.
Yeah, so he's done a lot as well. My real important question, guys, is how do you feel about Garak's first appearance in the show? Because I don't think that got me quite as hyped as seeing him appear as the first shot.
All I had to say is boop 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 boop.
If you haven't seen that video...
Anyone? Yeah. Anyone who has not seen the video of Garak and Bashir's first meeting set to like the Wii Shop channel music,
it's brilliant.
With the captions of what both characters are absolutely canonically feeling. Do yourself a favor, pause this video, go watch that one, come back here. And then watch the episode again, and you will be unable to unsee it because it is integral to these characters. Alexander Siddig and Andrew Robinson absolutely give that step of appeal.
Yeah, this is definitely the Garak meme episode. You get that Wii meme, and you get the Garak jazz hands meme going, and Andrew Robinson's hitting the ground running. He's hitting the ground running. He's like, "Oh, you didn't want to give me Odo, did you? Fine, I'm gonna just take this and chew the scenery so hard."
For Odo, was he?
Yeah, anyone who
That
watches the Shuttle Pod 1 podcast, he was just a guest on not too long ago. And they apparently brought him in a bunch of times just to steal his story. They brought him a bunch of times. And then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna bring you in for this character." He's like, "No, screw it. I'm not gonna You brought me in too many times already. I'm not gonna do it anymore."
Wow.
But
fair.
Still change his mind.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a very different Odo. I can't even imagine Odo played by anyone else by Renee. That's weird to think about. Yeah, as you say, he hits the ground running here. He is a little bit different than he is in his later appearances. He's a bit more Cardassian, I suppose. Whereas, if you ask me to define season 5, season 6 Garak, where he's a little bit more just avuncular, a little bit more he's a little bit less. I don't want to say staid because Garak is never that, but he's just a little bit more Cardassian here. He has a bit more in common with Dukat, with the commander we have here, with the other Cardassians we've seen before, in terms of his delivery and a little bit of his writing. But I think as pretty much from his second appearance onwards, they refined that, and then he becomes way more like the Garak we know. But it's interesting to see how that changed But yeah, it's still Andrew Robinson. He still
I
fucking
think
kills it.
what I like is the fact that they play. Star Trek has got its cultures, and they're all just like one personality stereotype, aren't they? The Ferengi are Ferengi.
Yeah, the Planet of the
Klingons
Hats.
are Klingons,
Yeah.
But this Garrett comes out and goes, "I'm also a Cardassian. I'm a bit sort of more fruity talking. I'm a little bit more. I'm a little bit more sort of playful."
And it was on this date. It was on this date that Trek got cancelled.
It's fine. He can say it. I'm here. Yeah, he can say
Sorry,
it.
you're allowed. That's fine.
But no, he is a little bit more playful, but also sort of turn to that serious side. So it's like kind of imagine if suddenly Quark turned out to be a very serious Starfleet officer in another turn. But it's kind of what Nog ends up being, a little bit. And it's nice that DS9 early on is playing with these,
stereotypes.
Yeah, countering the stereotypes we used to with how they present alien cultures, as it were.
Yeah, and they're good at adjusting, right? Like Rom's characterization is very much like scheming Ferengi for the first couple episodes, and then they're like, no, that's bad for Rom. We're gonna give Rom an entirely different personality.
Yeah, it doesn't play to Max Groden chicks. Straight, so let's change that. But this is also one of those things where everyone says DS9 is better than TNG, and to a degree it is, especially in certain ways. But that is also a case if you're ignoring the fact that DS9 has the advantage of being a sequel series of a show that had really good, strong world building, and there's like 5 seasons of like established lore and culture and thing to draw on, so that you get to play with the stereotypes and you get to play with these expectations and subvert them. If DS9 had started cold, then characters like Garak and Quark and Nog and Rom lose a little bit of their impact because you aren't familiar with what we're kind of meant to be like from TNG. So there is absolutely a strength in that as well. It's like there is such a strength we live in a world now of interconnected movie and cinematic and TV universes where that's kind of like it's the du jour. Everything is like that. But back in the day, that was a little bit less common, I feel like. So getting to have that built-in investment from the viewer of, I understand what these characters are meant to be like, makes a big difference. It means you can just start really digging into the finer details of it, which DS9 was really good at.
Definitely. Let's go to a fun fact. Fun fact. The Admiral that Kira calls up, and
Rollman.
Admiral Rollman, yes. She was played by Susan Bay, who is none other than Leonard Nimoy's wife. If you did not know that. Yeah. And she comes
that's crazy bit of trivia
for an episode later in another season. But yes, Leonard Nimoy's wife.
That's kind of crazy. Wow.
Apparently, his connection had nothing to do with it. She just applied, and they went, "Yeah, sure." But well, maybe that had a little bit to do with it. It's like, so who's your husband?
She does a good admiral. Yeah.
There's no nepotism in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
No, never.
So
who are you related to, Shy?
No one, sadly. That's why I'm in a sauna.
Oh, come on.
In upstate New York.
We also get appearances from the Duras sisters as well, so it's like a little bit of a kind of like, no, honestly, we're still Star Trek. Here's something familiar you recognise, but I'll never not like the Duras sisters in anything. I really won't like. They're
it's
great.
A good trope.
Yeah.
It's like basic character archetypes, and I enjoy them every time.
Yeah, they're perfect. We'll say cleavage twirling villains in the Star Trek universe. Like
I was picturing them like the
strippers.
Brazilian weather girl from that episode of The Simpsons where they go to Rio, and it's like, "Hey, Brazilian weather girl, point us in the right direction." She's like using little tassels. So that's picturing the Duras sisters doing that, but they're pointing toward the next act of terrorism.
That's right.
So speaking of terrorism, we definitely have the plot line of. And I think they do this several times in DS9 is the form of like, I used to be a terrorist, here I am, I promise I'm not doing terrorism, but actually I am.
Oops, all terrorism, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to speak to you guys about, because we spoke a bit in the watch through, is that Tanalos's motivations. How did you find those? Because if anything, they were, just what I found them was a bit misguided and a bit juvenile, but I just wondered what you guys thought.
So yes, misguided, juvenile, these are absolutely correct adjectives. I would also add on a very plain stupid, uninformed, basic, uneducated. What the fuck were you thinking? And for all of these reasons and the above, I find them partly the most realistic thing about the entire episode.
Very true, yeah.
Right, because you find those people out there. There are those
Yeah.
people who are in constant protest, constant rebellion mode, where the only solution is to burn everything down and start it all over again. It's a very narcissistic. Only my solution is the correct solution. To our ideal world that you see, sadly, too much in politics all across the spectrum.
It's a complete lack of self-criticism. Yeah.
It was nice to see that the guest star was 80s hair, 80s men's 80s hair. It was like this guy was like a combination of Bruce Boxleitner, Bill Pullman, like Sean Bean's hair, all just merged into one as the guest star terrorist.
He definitely
character.
didn't.
Well, I think I mentioned to you guys that he looked like he'd stepped off the set of the Future War from Terminator, and I think you both cracked you both up.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look like he's been in a war for decades or been like a hardcore terrorist. Like, he's too clean. Like, and they make that effort when he's in sickbay. They pull the gown down and go, look at all these gnarly scars. And there's like, but look at his face. He's just put like makeup. He's come out. He's fresh as a daisy. Kira, come join me on my crusade, darling. And she's like, maybe.
I'd say this is probably the biggest low point of the episode is the fact that this actor, I don't know what his name is, but he just does not sell terrorism. Which is maybe an odd thing to say, right? But like, Nana Visitor,
he's not
Nana
Thanos,
Visitor can sell terrorism. To a degree, even though he's a little bit more boring. The actor who played Ronan and Shakar, he can sell terrorism where it makes sense. Like Opaka, when these feel like real people, this guy does not feel like a real person in many respects. I don't understand how this character goes through life. Because the combination of smarmy dickhead who constantly dicks over everyone around him and is being dickish even while they are actively working in his favor. And like terrorism, they don't quite jive together. And you could make it work if you had the right personality. If you had something more akin to Mirror Barile when he turns up in season 6, where he's a bit more of a kind of a charming avuncular rogue who kind of is a bit more cutting, a bit more cynical, that can work. But here he's just an asshole. He feels like he should be in the same boardroom as Gordon Gekko or fucking Patrick Bateman with the way he acts toward Kira.
Well, he has their hair.
Yeah, exactly.
He has the hair of both those guys, like versions.
He's an 80s guy.
One character.
Yeah,
but maybe
he's
that
a
works.
greasy 80s guy. Yeah.
But
maybe it works because his worldview is so immature and narrow-minded. Like maybe this actor's portrayal actually works for the character.
It could do. That's what I quite like this episode. Like, there's a lot of complaints for like DS9, early DS9, but this is one of the ones I think kind of gets going right out the gate to kind of define what the kind of lines are. And I love it for a Kira episode because it kind of defines her lines as well. Like, she's still like she tries to, she bends over backwards for Tanalos to kind of say like, look, I'm still a friend. I'm still the terrorist you used to know, but stuff's different now. We have to, I don't like Mr. Cisco up there with his bad attitude towards me, but And she sort of
that's the difference between Kira and this guy, right? Kira is a freedom fighter, right? Like she was a freedom. This guy is a terrorist. He's just looking to commit acts of terrorism because his dad didn't say "I love you" enough to him. For sure, in like prison camp.
I think his dad may have been executed by the Cardassians.
Yeah, exactly.
But he probably begged for that because he thought his son had turned out like it's like, oh god, get away. It is good that they had this episode because, especially like right out of the gate, Kira makes an impression in Emissary of being very, she's very fighty. She is opposed to everything Starfleet, and I think the writers' room realized that was a very strong impression, and they didn't necessarily need to dial it back, but they needed to codify it and go, here are the lines that she will go within. This is like the outer limit, which is way past what Cisco will do, but way less than what Tarnalos will do. And here's her minimum limit, which is like in there. And you need to define that character bandwidth when you are dealing with a character who is essentially a terrorist / freedom fighter / your term of choice. Someone who deals in violence and who has that as part of their past. You need to define what kind of character they are what they're capable of and what they did early.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a nice
Otherwise,
example
you
of-
set yourself up
yeah.
for a potential betrayal of the character later on, and they don't ever do that with Kira, which I appreciate.
This is a nice sort of example of showing and not telling as well. Like, 'cause I always
Yes,
I always refer to that, any show that can do that really well, showing not telling. They show through Kira's actions and her conversations with Tana Los what exactly kind of person she is. And like you say, they don't betray it throughout the series. They keep it to that limit. I think they kind of maybe they could have been a bit edgier with it, but I think network television sort of says no, your main cast can't be terrorists. But go on.
I might have to ruin this thing. I just realized this is the same plot basically as Defiant with Tom Riker.
Yeah, it kind of is without the deception though.
Yeah, but he doesn't tear off his sideburns or anything. Like that's the central premise of.
But
let's point out that one of you was it you, Stars, that pointed out that his plan, the central plan, is idiotic because his idea is that we're going to destroy the wormhole and then the Federation of Cardassia will be gone. But they were around before the wormhole was even.
Yeah, exactly. They don't give a fuck about the wormhole. The wormhole isn't really all that important yet. It hasn't. The Dominion isn't a factor yet. That is the point. But that kind of dials back more into the point of what I meant about the need for appropriate casting. Where guess what, Jonathan Frakes can absolutely sell a character that I'm invested in. I'm invested in Tom Riker and why he has this, this complex and this need to terrorize and this need to fight. This guy, Tana Los, he's basically a cipher for Kira, and that's fine. Because you're still in season 1, you need to establish your characters. It's way more important to establish your main cast rather than your side characters to a degree. But it's just a case of I feel it's a little bit weaker of an episode as a result of it.
I think that's where he suffers as a character, is he is just the foil for Kira at this point. Or he's more like the mirror to sort of show off Kira's good points as opposed to being more of a fleshed out character. I suppose maybe if he'd had spent a bit more time maybe nuancing his vision, or maybe people just are idiots. And like you say, they're
because it's very telling. It's very telling that the most effective foil for Kira Scene is not with that guy. It's with Odo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which he's like.
That's really good.
It's a really good scene.
Talking about the
sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, but
if
if you guys watch our sub watch-alongs, if you ever notice us just suddenly stop talking and watch, and there's dead air, it's not usually because we don't have something to say. It's because we're invested in the scene and what's going on. And you will notice there is an incredible amount of dead air during that scene between Odo and Kira, because both actors are killing it right out of the gate. And I feel like Nana Visitor is especially good at playing that role of I'm in too deep. I don't know where to go from here. I'm like shell-shocked, I'm traumatized, but I still have vulnerability. There is still something inside of me that fundamentally believes in something good, and that is at threat right now. And Odo is very good at bouncing off that. Like God fucking knows how much we lost when we lost Renee Auberjonois, but like he is such a good, consummate performer, and Odo is such a good mirror for her, and their interplay is so perfect as collaborator and freedom fighter, and there's so many good episodes built off of that relationship that are to come, even with like Odo's really gaunt early season makeup, which they have yet to refine. But it's just like they have a magnetism to them, and I can absolutely see why they were like, no, let's lean into this is really, really good. That being said, fuck all that shit. I fucking love Cisco snapping Kira back.
Done the Riker
it's even better than the Riker Shelby snapback. It's even better than that, I feel like. Because he's like physically positioning himself so that he's above her as a not so subtle reminder of, hey, I'm higher up the totem pole. I can fucking kick you off the station like that. Yeah, no, he's like, classic Cardassian architecture, but I'll also use it to my advantage if I have to.
Right. He doesn't like directly threaten her. He just sarcasms her. Just let the Admiral know next time you talk to her.
Real passive aggressive.
And I'll have your head on a platter. And it's the smile on his face. Like Cisco is really good at the threatening smile. It's so good.
But at least
like,
she took the
this
hint
is a Kira episode, but Avery Book steals every scene he's in.
At least she kind of took the hint, whereas Bashir couldn't take a hint for his life. I think Garrick had to explain like 15 different times, come to the shop, I have a suit for you, and listen to our plan. And even when he gets in the wardrobe, he's there holding up the suit going, oh, do I look good in this? It's like, oh, wait, shit, yes, why?
Look, he has zero brain, okay? He's just a wonderful himbo.
Yeah.
This, I'm going to have to headcanon that he's kind of like Data in that, like, all of the socialization issues he had and that were corrected as a result of his augmentation, he's still working through here, just in a different way. And then as he grows as a person, he becomes more able to get the fucking hint. Because, good God.
Yeah.
So useless in this episode.
He's just dissuaded by the handsome Cardassian. Okay, some fun facts before we go to best and worsts. First off...
Was Quark in this episode?
Quark was not. Neither was Jake.
No.
Quark and Jake were not in this episode, despite being on the billing.
Dax was barely there.
She was there.
Yeah.
Dax was basically an
He
extra.
had like 2 lines.
Yeah. But they're not important right now. Not till next week.
For real.
Some of the clothes in Garrick's shop. I remember you mentioned it in the watch along. You said, "What the hell are those outfits?" We actually know what some of them are. One of them is.
Oh, what you mean the outfits from the Pride Parade?
Yes. One of them is Stephen Miller's costume from Haven. You know, the father.
Oh
of
wow!
Wyatt Miller.
Fucking.
One is Sovak's outfit from Riser from Captain's Holiday.
Oh my God.
Another one is one of Kamala's dresses from The Perfect Mate. So that's what you know. Another fun fact, this is the first episode in Star Trek where no ship named Enterprise turns up or is named. This is the very first episode.
Yeah.
The first time that no ship named Enterprise turns up or named. So in the entire history, this finally broke the streak of doing that.
That's interesting.
Best and worst moments. Please, Shy, will you lead the parade?
I mean, the easy thing would be to pick the Garrick Bashir moments, because Garrick, as we talked about during the watch along, lifts up Siddig's early season performances and elevates them so much. But I'm going to go back to what I was talking about before. The scene between Odo and Kira is just so nice and quiet, and they know you feel the history between the characters. Even though this is just the second episode, you feel the weight of that relationship right away. And it's just quiet and done. And just the way Odo turns and calls Cisco in for the little intervention with Kira is
got
just
a very
master.
naughty child here who wants to explain what she's done. Calling your parents.
So that's
she
the
even
best.
sits like that. She's a bit like,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. She knows. She knows she's done wrong. What is the worst? I mean, I don't know. This was a pretty solid episode. So it's the worst has got to be the guest star. 80s hair is hard to translate to the 90s. Like, it doesn't always get over there. But yeah, he's very one note. He hasn't quite decided what accent he wants to use. He keeps
And he's lacking in charisma as well. He doesn't feel like he can lead. I wouldn't believe he can lead a terrorist cell. That's the kind of thing that I have a problem with.
Well, there's a times like he turns, and this is maybe a director's failure. Like, he turns the camera and he has like a evil grin on his face. Because like, he doesn't think he's evil. He thinks he's doing right. He shouldn't be like grinning maniacally at the camera.
Yeah.
After he's fooled someone. But so yeah, those are my best and worst moments.
okay. How about you, Stars?
Best moment absolutely has to be between Cisco and Kira in Ops, because like it is such a good moment for Cisco where it's his command style, I'd say, is almost Velvet Glove, but he's got a fucking steel horseshoe in it, ready to fucking punch you out if he needs to. But he will extend the Velvet Glove first because he's nice like that. He is Captain Benjamin Sisko. He will command at the moment. He is a nice man. Do not fuck with him. Do not. You try and go above my head again, I'll snap you back so fast. And it's like, he gives her a chance. He's professional about it, and then he makes it abundantly clear. I watched a lot of Sharp very recently, and it's that kind of command style where it's like, I'm not gonna send you any kind of formal inquiry. I'm not gonna have anything written on your record. I'm gonna let you know to your face, I will fuck you if I have to. And Kira's like, oh, okay, right, yes, I forgot. You're kind of a badass.
This is Hawk.
And it's like,
come on.
Yeah. You have to. I appreciate the these early days of Kira and Cisco, where they're working out. They're like two alpha predators, and they're working out their territories and where they can push and where they can't.
Yeah.
And Cisco is very clearly setting down a boundary of where she cannot go. Worst moment, I would say probably, since Shai already stole the guest star in general, the fight between Tana and Kira in the runabout.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
Is so incompetently staged. Like, imagine telling someone that the reason, like, we don't know whether or not it would have actually collapsed the wormhole if that Bilitrium device had gone off, right? But imagine telling someone that the future of the Bajoran wormhole rested on the fact that Kira grabbed a guy's leg and rustled it for a little bit, and that was enough to make him not hit the button long enough.
The button
it's
that was
so badly
over the console
framed.
where she sits as well. It was just randomly.
Yeah, no. Why is the torpedo toe? I can't you just hit it from the fucking the cockpit like thing like that? I don't understand why it's there. Yeah, clearly the issue. Yeah, especially like Trek has a reputation for bad fight choreography, right? Like the double axe handles. Like, you get used to it. It's a case of you don't have time and budget to do proper choreography until later on, or for very specific scenes, like say Way of the Warrior, where you actually have some decent fight choreography. But this was incompetent even for Trek standards. It just looked like shit. They could have done just if I had seen that in dailies, I would have been like, cool, go back and do that again. Make it look like a fight this time.
He does proper
he does clocker.
Slapper.
Yeah,
real straight to the floor. So
but even still, just incompetently staged. What about you, Idle? Best and worst?
I'm always happy when the Duras sisters show up. I'm going to say the Bashir Garrick one, but I think that's universally agreed by everyone. That's the best moment of any part of Star Trek ever. So I will go. I'll go more nuanced, and I'll say anytime the Duras sisters are on screen, like I kind of love the presence they bring, and the alternate, just shady Klingon sisters is always fun to watch, and like it makes you laugh.
They're so trashy. It's so much fun.
They are trailer park kind of valley.
Yeah.
Definitely. I just wish, and my worst moment is I kind of wish there was more of them, really. I wish they had a bit more of a sense to the episode. Honestly, it's kind of...
Yeah, they are kind of innocent, and they get away scot-free. They get away scot-free.
There's C story, it's very true.
They beam out like, see you in Generations, and that's it.
I think, no, don't they turn up in... No, by this point, they still have to show up in Season 7 of TNG.
Are they in Season 7? I forget. Which one are they in there?
For a moment, because they have that moment with Alexander from the future. And there's that dagger of like, this is for the child I don't have yet. Right. They aren't present for that scene. So they have that and they're in Generations. But the doomsday clock for them is ticking down. They are 2 minutes to midnight.
Never mind, but yeah, I'll say that's probably you've saw all the good ones. Like there's not much to this episode other than those moments, really. But
it's very straightforward.
It is. It's a part of it. So well, since we'll lead on to it, Stars, please give us your rating.
What am I gonna pick for our rating? All right. How many unambiguously bisexual Cardassian tailors out of 10 would you give this episode?
Go on, Shai.
Sure. I think without the ambiguously bisexual Cardassian tailor in this episode, this episode's maybe like a 7.
Yeah.
But he brings it up to a solid 8 for me. Like he's worth a full point.
It's so good. Like
Andrew Robinson.
You have this guest character that comes on like he's the main character. Like honestly, if you'd have watched this episode 2 and thought, well, where's he going to be? Why is he not on the main billing? Because it just works so well. And I think it's probably one of the reasons they brought him back. They just went, oh yeah, this is real good.
Everyone likes when he's on screen. Why? When Garrick is not on screen, people should be asking, why is Garrick not on screen?
Go on, Stars.
I would probably give this a 7.5 unambiguously bisexual Cardassian clothiers out of 10. It's a bit stock in terms of its like a plot structure. Like the opening especially is very, very stock. Like not the Garrick Bashir scene, but there's a ship in trouble, being them out. Like, I've seen that scene 50
it's the same,
billion. Yeah. I've seen that a billion times in every Star Trek. It's the most like stock. we need to deliver our character into the main character's hands and make them like reliant on them. How do we do this? That way. And then, and I'm pretty, like I said, the Defiant does this exact same plot, but I think a little bit better in some respects. All of the Bajoran episodes that are focused on the politics and the culture of it that come after this, I feel like go into detail and are better sketched out with better guest stars. So I prefer those overall. I had honestly kind of forgotten this episode existed, apart from the Garrett scene in my brain. I was like, "Is this the one with Garrett with the one with the clone?" And it's like, no, that's the next episode.
That's the next one, yeah.
But it's pretty good. I wasn't offended watching it. I was like, this is a solid foundation for these characters. There's some hokey moments. Early DS9 still finding its feet. It's not firing on all cylinders just yet. But the characters are magnetic. People are giving their all. Like most people are giving their all. And there are enough scenes in here that I'm like, ooh, yeah, I'm invested. But he's like, yeah, 7.5 out of 10 for me. What about you, Idle?
The introduction of Garrick, the good Kira backstory, the conversations with fleshing out Kira Nodo's background, interactions with Cisco, 8.5 for me. Like, I really enjoyed this. I think Tanalos lets it down, the back choreography. Like, there's some points here, but I actually... Like, people give early DS9 a lot of, like, flack for saying, oh, you'll skip the first couple of seasons, but I'm like, well, actually, there's a lot
I think that's the stupidest idea in the world.
Yeah,
I can't stand that idea.
You miss a lot of nuance with, like, especially fleshing out the Bajorans' sort of culture and worldview, and even a bit of the Cardassians as well. You get, obviously, the amazing Vaughn Armstrong strutting on with his amazing camera work.
Oh, yeah.
And his own self.
Yeah, how did we not mention him? He was, like, him and his choreographer, his his webcam angle stolen from 1984.
His self-lighting, Zoom profile. The custom Cardassian ship background. But yes, no, definitely an 8.5. It's high in my books, so I can appreciate why people... And again, I do agree that there are some stock moments in it, like there are some tropey Star Trek parts in them, but I like when they work. It can be maybe construed as dull, but once you... Like, we were watching it, and I was not entertained. Like, it was great.
It's definitely in service of the wider fabric of... And it's like... I was saying, there are episodes that do this better. And it's like, to a degree, they do build on this. Like, for example, the whole circle arc that forms the back end of season 1 and beginning of season 2. It's very much like, looking back at this episode, it's like, oh, yeah, they seeded that really early. So I appreciate that work at least. So it's solid. It's the kind of episode where I don't remember it, but looking back on it and watching it, I was like, you know what, this is a good episode, and I'm glad they made it. And this is the reason why anyone who says, skip the first seasons of DS9, they aren't worth it. Like, no. Yeah. That's the stupidest idea in the world. This is essential.
It's all worth
Even if you don't remember it, what it establishes about the characters is essential.
Okay. That wraps us up. Thank you, everyone, for watching. It does.
Straightforward. We like it.
Absolutely. Gotta stop somewhere. This wraps up our review for past Prologue. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with the next episode, which I believe will probably be a Voyager or Enterprise one. So I'm hoping I'll get on the horn with Skycap or Racing Liners and get them on for that. Yes. But from now, for us, if you haven't subscribed and you want to see some of our watch-alongs, you can subscribe to our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/TrekTime, and join our Discord, and you can get a whole wealth of watch-alongs. And I may release a few for free at some point as well. Once maybe we'll time them out, and I'll get some of the pilots up there as well. But for now, from us, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Live long and prosper. Bye bye.